Hey guys, what's going on? Shaw here, and this is going to be a slightly different video. As some of you might know, I just finished up with my recent Zero to Hero series, where I played Protection Warrior for Season 3, the end of Season 3, and I pushed for 3 KIO, and I ended up achieving that in the last week or so, like right before the last week. Today, Season 4 came out, and we have all these new dungeons. Everything's kind of scaled up. We still have Tazavesh, but we also have things like Mechagon back, Karazhan, and Grimrail Depot, and Iron Dukes. All so far pretty good dungeons, some are more overtuned than others. So we are going to be breaking down a 20 Tazavesh. This is done in 275 gear. The only loot I actually have is this ring that I don't even have equipped at this point. These are just some pugs that I happened to run into. We like 2-chested an 18 junkyard and it turned into this streets. Now, there was a comment, I think on my Zero to Hero challenge recently, that someone said, I wish you would critique your gameplay more instead of critiquing others. So we're going to be doing that in this video here. So enjoy. Now, I am nowhere near perfect at Warrior. I struggle at using my CDs appropriately, shield block uptime, like using my Reprisal legendary properly. There's just a lot of things I don't do well. So I'm going to try to go through. I just completed this run maybe an hour or so ago, and then we tried the 21 workshop, which it turned into. It didn't go that well because we had some issues after first boss, but for the bounty here, I'm deciding to choose haste. I don't know if this is the way to go, but I figured warriors scales so much better with haste than the versatility, especially because the versatility bounty was nerfed. This pull's going to go pretty clean, especially because it's not a fortified week. A lot of this trash dies really easily. So you're going to see this Desterlock kind of just like pumping big chaos bolts into the Skate Warden here, and it's going to be fine. So shield block is fine. I have banner popped plus avatar, getting that big CDR for the anger management talent. And so far so good. I mean, I did most of the healing there, 8.2k to myself. For some reason I was tracking healing done overall instead of healing done on a pull by pull basis. So I wish I had it set earlier. I think at some point in the key I change it back, but not until later, because there's a few points in this dungeon where I actually died, and I don't know what I could have done, and we'll probably figure that out together, but I felt like the healer just wasn't healing me, because I would get low, and then I would sit low for a long time, and then I would just eventually die, because I would either like not block something, or my shield block would fall off. So we're trying to make sure that we are kicking when we can, so my kick's still on cooldown here, so I probably could have kicked the stasis beam, or just even the bolt. Right here, I try to actually line of sight back. This is just because of the inspired patrol. This is normally a pack on Tyrannical weeks you could probably pull with the center patrol, but it's just kind of scary when there's inspired because you can't kick stasis beams and you can't kick the hard light barriers. So we kicked stasis beam there, and luckily we didn't pull the patrol. So we're nice and good. So if you've probably been paying attention, I don't think at this point I've used intervene at all to get shield block, which is just it's like a very weird mastery to have over the class. It's very unique to use intervene for shield block. It looks like the lock misclicked his rain of fire here, or he did it on purpose to pull, but there is a Nathrazim in this patrol, so it came over. This is scary because they have like a tank buster mechanic called Leeching Claws, which is very similar to the Dreadlord fight in Sepulchre, where it just kind of does a bit of tank damage and it heals the infiltrator, the Nathrazim. Somewhat later in this key, the healer mentions that I can spell reflect it, and I didn't know that. And if someone can actually fact check that for me, that would be great, because again, I don't play warrior. I'm not very, especially with a new mechanic like this is the very first day that this affixes out. So it finally goes down. I ended up using Last Stand at some point in that pull. I used it as a defensive, but I also used it as a way to generate more rage to try to keep good banner uptime. So we're still sitting at 11 seconds here after having this. It's been on cooldown for about 30 seconds now. We still have 10 seconds of it. And we're making sure that we're just kicking. So I just want to say, if you notice anything that I'm doing right or wrong, please tell me. Don't be a douche about it. I'm trying to learn, but this is a pretty crazy good tank this season. Some of you might be wondering why I'm actually playing the warrior anyways, and I did a couple keys on my guardian druid on stream today, and I was just a little bit frustrated. So right here we actually line of sight for the radiant pulse. Only the hunter got hit, which is kind of whatever. It's a good practice to have in higher keys, but it's tyrannical, so honestly we could have all taken it to the face and just been fine. But I was doing some keys on Guardian Druid today, and I just like, it was okay, but I was just having some rough pugs. So I did a key on my warrior right before raid, and warrior actually feels really good, especially if you start getting some bounties. Oh my god, does warrior feel good with high haste? So it's been pretty good so far. So we're making sure we're kicking this glyph. That's mostly the thing that I focus on as the tank. We're in a pug, so we're not in comms, we're not in anything. So this is like legit purebred US pug right here. So right, this boss actually does a ton of tank damage, and warriors are pretty good at blocking, and there are some tanks that actually struggle with this fight. Guardian Druids actually struggle a little bit with some of the tank damage here, but warrior felt really, really good. So right there, I probably could have Fleshcraft while I was waiting to go in with the shield. That's something that I struggle with, is using Fleshcraft more often than I should. I don't use it between pulls because I kind of just want to go, go, go. Now, there was something that happened on this fight that the Lock did, and I was really confused on, but he was able to avoid the interrogation as a Warlock, and I'm not sure how that would work exactly, but... Oh, you know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think it's because he's human. Never mind. Figured it out. So interrogation comes out. You can see me kind of rotating around the group here instead of keeping him still and having the whole group rotate. So when I have a caster in the group, I like to do this because obviously casters want to be able to stand still, and melee typically have the luxury of being able to move and do DPS. So it's a little bit easier for the tank to kind of kite around the range than it is for the range to kite around the shield or move around the shield. So you're going to kind of see me make these small circular patterns throughout the fight to avoid both blades, while also making sure that the Warlock's pet and himself are able to kind of free cast here. So the Lock ends up actually taking, I intervene him just to get the extra rage and block there, and then he just human racials it. So very good thinking. The Lock has some really good plays throughout this dungeon. I think everyone in this key last season was anywhere between 3,400 and 3,600. Like 36, I think the highest guy was like 3,690 in this key from last season. So we just, very kind of, I think, smart group, and that's why the pug was successful. I opt to use shield wall there because typically between the interrogates is when the tank starts taking just a lot of damage, especially when fully armed comes out. I should have probably waited for that, but I wasn't in my head. I was just like trying to be aggressive with my CDs, because this, if you like compare to last season, was like a 23, 24 when you like take into account itemable and stuff. So this was a pretty high key for my warrior. Probably the hardest thing that I've done so far, outside of the workshop we did after this. The workshop after was real brutal, but we wiped because there's some weird interactions with some of the Nathrezim. I'm sure some of you have noticed, especially if you've run workshop, is after the first boss, you kind of you get into like the depths of workshop, and like you're in that sewerish area with the water. All of the stuff clips underneath the water, so you can't see anything. So Quaking clips underneath, but also the Nathrezim spawn these like little pools, and if you step in the pool, it puts you to sleep for 6 seconds. And when it's in the water, you can't see it at all. But if you step in it, you get silenced, and then you can't, or not silenced, but you get put to sleep. You can't move. You're basically stunned, and then you get hit by frontals, and you're just dead. So the rogue blinds the security, but I don't think that was the play here. I'm not sure. I ended up actually just going over here and doing this. Something I also haven't been doing very consistently is like just spell reflecting. So right here I'm hero clipping away so I can get the inspired away so we can kick stasis beam. So that's why I was running that far out. And it's just like a lot of my intervenes are just at like the wrong times. Like I intervene the Lock here kind of for no reason. Like Proxy Stripe just came out, but like I don't know, it kind of just, I mean, like, obviously it's good, but I don't know. I feel like I don't intervene properly to get, like, the maximum appraisal. So here we go. I asked for Shroud here because I'm trying to keep the route as consistent as possible without, obviously, Woe Relics. We no longer have the access to have Woe Skip, so we're going to actually just pull left. Before the key, they were saying we should go right. We actually decided to go left as a group, but they were like, well, if you go to the right side of the dungeon, up towards the Oasis, there's 2 Nathrezim instead of just 1 on the left-hand side. And obviously, 2 bounties are better than 1. So that could have been good there. I did Spell Reflect. I guess you can't Spell Reflect this magical route, so it's whatever. Beam Slices I'm just pulling away from. Honestly, I didn't know how fast this guy was gonna die. I meant to pull him like through because there's RP, and now we're gonna end up. You're gonna see after this, once we kill this guy, we're gonna have to wait around for a few seconds for RP to like initiate before we can actually start pulling stuff. So it's good to keep like a consistent pulls through here. I don't like sitting around in dungeons, but I could have flesh crafted. That's like another thing that I just don't do. So when you're waiting around like this between pulls, flesh craft. There's no reason not to. It's good healing. I taunt the left one and pull it into the right one, so they're stacked nice and evenly for the serve hunter, and obviously just for like maximum cleave. We're gonna spell reflect on the lava breath, and we obviously want to make sure that we kick the ancient dread, which we did there. I'm making sure that they're facing away from the group as well. The lava breath is a frontal. I don't know if it just targets the tank, but I just like to point that kind of stuff away. We're making sure that we're kicking ancient dread there. We move forward far enough to start the RP, so the dinosaur thrashing mob goes down the stairs. Now this next pull I die in, and I think I die because we pulled an Atrazine, which we didn't need to do, maybe, or maybe it was the Nightclaw. Oh, it's this dealer here. Okay, so I pulled just these cats, right? And then there's this dealer, and this is the Nathrazim guy. And the Nathrazim, he does, you know, a frontal cone that if you get hit by it, you take damage, and for like a couple seconds, you take 50% reduced healing. Obviously, it's really important not to get hit by it. He also spawns little pools that put you to sleep, and then he does Legion Claws, which is like the tank buster. So someone came out here and they tagged it for me, which I don't think that was a good idea. So I see it coming in. I don't have threat on it, so I decide to hold Challenging Shout. We have this stacked here, so the lock is up here on the like the ledge, so he can't get charged, so it bugs it out. I have a ton of pounces on me. I have Last Stand available, and I'm just kind of like sitting low. I pop Last Stand. Shadow Fury comes out. The Frenzy Charge gets bugged here because he's up on top of the pillar. Carrion Swarm is facing to the right-hand side. I avoid it, and then the Leeching Claws came out. I didn't have Spell Reflect available, and I just fell over here. And this is why I kind of noticed that I thought the healer wasn't. I was like 5k healing, and it's like super, super low. I don't think I ended up looking at the recap because I thought the lock was going to res me much quicker, but they didn't really notice. So I got pounced on in the Leeching Claws, and I just kind of fell over here. I don't think I had anything, honestly. So luckily, you see me circling my mouse. I'm waiting for the res to come out. The res comes out, and then I Challenging Shout right away, so I'm able to get threat back. So we actually saved this pull. I don't know what to do there. So if any of you guys have any like recommendations, I'm not really sure. Like, I had Last Stand. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm revenging. Am I revenging too much? Ignore Pain got buffed. Yeah, Revenge, Thunderclap, Revenge, Shield Slam, Ignore Pain, Thunderclap, Shield Slam, Revenge, Shockwave, dead. I think maybe Ignore Pain a little bit more. I didn't have any health pots. I guess Health Stone maybe, but I think that would have bought me a little bit of time. So, yeah. But came up, Challenging Shout. Rogue was able to evasion tank. We also had Turtle come out from the Hunter as the lock got me up, and we ended up saving this pull. This Infiltrator I don't think was the play to pull. I think we could have just tagged it in a little bit later. It's not even Fort Week. So yeah, you just saw me try to actually touch my details down there and change it. Sorry, I probably look like a gangster with my hood up. Yeah, I just type out my bad. Like, I was honest. I was like, I had no idea what happened there. And then I tried to go over to activate the portal, and I got put to sleep. So these guys were super chill. They were really nice. They were like, yeah, we evasion tanked, we had Turtle up. Now it's really nice. Okay, so I'm glad Blizzard did this. So going into this boss, there's obviously RP, but there's like a dude here. There's a Nathrasium Infiltrator for bounty. So you can actually pull this guy, and then while you're killing him, you can go into the boss room, start RP, and then you actually have something to do, which is really, really convenient. We're going to move in here, and then it's just, this is probably the best way to see exactly how these guys work. So they spawn these purple swirls on the floor. This puts you to sleep. They face a random player with Carrion Swarm. You don't want to be in front of it. If you get hit, it's a dispellable debuff that makes you, you take 50% less healing for like 12 seconds or 10 seconds or something like that. And then he does Leeching Claws. And when Vampiric Claws. And he will leech for that damage. Now, they said that it's spell reflectable, but I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments below if you're a warrior main. And it's a hard thing to test out. I think in the Mecha Gun I did after this key, I tested it. I, like, just on that mob, I spell reflected on the Legion Claws, or Vampiric Claws, and it doesn't spell reflect the damage, but I couldn't tell if I just didn't take damage at all then from it, so. This boss was actually pretty messy. Also, my overall in this key ended up being really, really low, and I wasn't happy with it at all. This guy's pretty easy. We didn't kill Alcrux fast enough, though. He actually ended up getting, like, it was like a really weird overlap here. So Ashlight comes out. We start dragging him kind of to the corner, but then there's another Grand Consumption, so I kind of have to watch my positioning. And then Alcrux goes down, and then we have Ashlight here. So I'm sitting on Banner for a second, which it's because I don't have Ravager, I don't have Demo Shout available, and I also don't have Avatar. So I'm kind of sitting on my Banner. We get knocked back. This is like a pretty good corner because look at how quickly my stacks go up here. Like I was able to get most of those. Got all the way up to 15. You want him to, ideally you want Ashlight to die in the corner. I'm gonna have to do a boss guide on this because he's had a couple reworks. What's nice is sometimes the orbs get stuck on these cages. This is a weird week though with Quaking. If you have more than 3 melee, it gets real kind of cluttered. Purification Protocol goes out. I think the biggest problem I have with Warrior is that I think I revenge too much. Is there a good time? Like, do you guys know about like a good time to actually hit revenge? Is it only on proc, so when it's free? Or is it kind of like a, play it by ear kind of situation where it's like, okay, I know I'm not going to be taking a lot of damage. I have a shield block up. I don't really need the Ignore Pain. But you can see right here, like I don't have Ignore Pain active. I have a very small shield. So unfortunately, Ashlight did not go down until after this, and then he was not in the corner. So I wasn't able to get him back there quick enough. So whenever this happens, you want to make sure you're taking Gold Fuse. At least in my experience, you want to tanker right next to him. I'm trying to mouse over Intervene to get away, but you can see how clunky that was. So Rogue has 20 stacks. And then I'm going to move over to the Chain of Domination guy here because I just want to make sure that he's not getting hit by orbs and just making sure that we're still getting cleave to break him out. I'm pretty sure like post haste works. If you're playing a Brewmaster Monk, you can actually Tiger's Lust the person who has chains on them and it just removes it for free. Annihilation comes out again. I'm just running away. I heroic leap and I'm just gonna like take my hands off my keyboard and charge in between the orbs. So this was weird because like the Serve Hunter threw down his Res Arrow, so I wanted to keep her in the Res Arrow, but I knew we had to get him out, so like I was kind of trying to teeter between him and the boss. Trying to pick up a lot of these melee orbs without being too sporadic with my movement so melee can have their uptime. I have Shield Wall available and Last Stand if things do get hairy. I don't think anything gets hairy though. This is such a weird boss because like they kept giving it to me, this buff, and like I could have been better about passing it to DPS. But then DPS should also pass it to DPS because when you give it to the tank, like the tank's getting increased damage, but I'm only doing 6k DPS, which I feel like I'm just like is low. That's why I try to revenge so much, but then like I just feel like I fall over in a lot of situations. I look super fucking creepy, man. All right, so right here, I decided to actually pull the Spark Caster, get a kick, and then I tag these two over here. One of them is a Nathrazim Infiltrator. So he's going to go over. We want to make sure we're kicking Scintillate in this pull and then stunning these Phalanx Fields. Now, this is a pull I die on as well, and I don't know why. So I use Last Stand on pull. I figured I'm getting just CDR from doing the, by spending Rage, right? And then I take the Claws without spell reflecting. Scintillate's coming out on me. I now have 2 stacks of it. And then I had Last Stand, I already used it, it's gone down. I have no defensives here outside of maybe Health Pot, and then I just die again. And I don't know why. So I took the Claw for 56k, and then I just got meleeed 4 times within a second and a half. So I just like fell over. So this is when the priest says like, aren't you spell reflecting? And I just like was like, I don't play this spec. I have no idea what I'm doing. And I was like looking at the heals. I was like, okay, so that pull he was only doing 4.3k. So like he wasn't giving me a lot of attention. So like I don't want to, can't use spell reflect the claws. And I was like, I don't know. I thought it would, it just like with the rake icon that it uses, I figured it's physical. I've been playing this class for 2 days. I was a little sarcastic here, but it was like in good fun. We did a couple keys before this. We did a key after it. It was a pretty good group. Power kick goes off. This is a spot I'm not a big fan of, but in this route, it just makes sense to keep him up here. This group was really good about being on the other side. The only time this threat's really bad is when you have short classes like gnomes or goblins. So lethal force, yeah, I just said so I don't know. The execution of the dungeon after this was actually super clean for the most part. So a lot of people have argued that it's not really worth pulling this guy. If you have a way to skip around him twice, it's fine. But this guy is so efficient for percent. He's worth like 7.5 or 8% trash. And for just a mini boss, it's really good. So Rogue grapples over and gets the sap, which was super clean. I'm going to heroic leap around. Rogue's going to run off and start the RP in the next area, I think. He's going to mount up and go. I'm going to activate this portal. We're waiting for mailroom to open, and then our group is stacking outside. Again, this is not coordinated at all. What I was doing here is I was like, okay, they're clearly stacking out here, so they think that I'm going to pull out. So that's what I'm going to do. I missed the heroic throw, so I'm trying to get over there to get it. They're now all in the doorway with Quaking. I'm trying to get out so I don't die. And then there is a Nathrazim when you go into the left. There's a Nathrazim in that pull. We're going to stack them outside the door right here. And it was actually a pretty clean stack, and we were able to just nuke this pull. The Desterlock just had all his CDs ready to go. I think. Unless there's a Blasphemy proc, but it looks like his Infernal was active. Yeah. And then I thought this was everything, but turns out I missed a bunch of stuff. But like, that's the thing. Like, I oftentimes will like not flush. Like, I can flushcraft at the end of this pull, but I end up not. And that always like kills me. So if you're a prot warrior or just like a necrolord in general, make sure you're flushcrafting often. So we just decided to pull in here. I'm going to do this pack one at a time. I just said strange. I typed that out because I was just like, it's weird that this pack didn't come. But that's okay. So after this pull, we're going to pull the other side. And then at some point, either someone tagged the boss or I tagged the boss. I'm not really sure what happened. But we ended up like pulling this boss onto this trash, which was a little scary. Like I would say, especially on a Tyrannical week. Yeah, so right here, Blade Flurry, first target hit was Kevin's Oozling. So I'm not really sure. So we ended up missing a bunch of soaks on the far side of the room, which actually put us in kind of a really uncomfortable situation. I was thinking about resetting right when he pulled, but I was like, well, we're popping Lust. The Smell Elemental is going to go down. I'm actually going to save Shout here because I see Symbol of Hope is active to give people their defenses back. And then we're going to go into Unstable Goods. So I figured everyone's healthy, so I'll save on my Commanding Shout for another point. I see where the mailroom is opening up, so I put down a marker and I get ready to grab my first mail. Necrobanner's up, so I can't be slowed below 100% speed, but I still decide to commit to the Bounding Stride Heroic Leap. We're going to go for the double package here. And we clean this up really quick. Like, this group was just fucking on it. And there's a really impressive point after this, too, that it was just like the non-coordinated coordinated teamwork is just really, sometimes really fucking clean. We get a few double soaks here. The priest might pull out the Mass Dispel, and he does. The fan mail goes out. I shout to make sure that we're nice and topped off and healthy. And then we're going to get another money order. And we all recognize that he's moving away from the group, so he's probably going to commit Turtle to it as an immunity. We're going to spread slightly here to make sure we don't quake each other. The priest and the lock end up actually quaking each other, taking a little bit extra damage than they should. We get unstable packages. I notice that it's in the back, so I put down a green world marker, and we start picking up these packages as quick as we can. I decide to waddle over so I can use Heroic Leap to get a second package while the boss is not doing fan mail. Because when the boss is doing fan mail, you're not getting hit by anything outside of the AoE damage. But once he's autoing you, you want to make sure your movement is very quick. If you're picking up a bomb and running it, both me and the priest notice that it's over here, so we both throw our package in, and then we start soaking these again. Ideally, we're just keeping the left side of the room clean, praying that we don't have to run to the other side of the room. Right now, it looks like most of our CDs are down. We don't have Coordinated Assault. We have Infernal coming up, but that's not really a great offensive CD, as at least compared to like a Tyrant, for example, and in the counter spec for Demonology. So we're going to have to do one more set of Unstable Goods. This left thing, little mail transport just closed. So we're going to be keeping an eye out for the new one that opens up, which is this one in the back left area of the room. And now, unfortunately, because of the pools on the ground, we have a bunch of poop spawn. So I'm going to throw this one in, and then the lock notices me running in, so he puts on a short 10-yard gate. I pick up the package, I take the gate, and I throw it in and clean it up. And that play right there, I was just like, this lock knows his shit. It's those plays that differentiate like okay good players from great players. This lock was an incredibly talented Kane from Frostmourne, which is an OCE server. So very good job. I just said not sure why that pulled there, to be honest, because I didn't mean to pull the boss. I don't think it pulled. It looked like it was Kevin's Oozling, which in this comp, I think only myself and the Rogue are playing Necro. There is an Atrazine here, which also gives a little bit of percent, so this is actually going to top us off. And then the Rogue decided to run the Relic. Now there is a way where you can, like, I think you could jump on a two-person mount to have people run this little thing, but we're going to focus on killing this Infiltrator here. While the Rogue... excuse me. While the Rogue runs off, I'm going to run down here, get the Fear on the Strong Arm to make sure that he's not going to catch up to my Rogue friend. Get the Shockwave. Infiltrator goes down. I Spell Reflect there and take no damage, so I think it might actually be shadow damage that you take. Rogue grappling hooks away, but I see him that he's getting hit by lackeys. There was a really good Shining Force there, followed by a Strong Arm. Good Chatties from the Priest into a Psychic Scream. And now I'm just trying to keep the Strong Arm ready with charges. So there is one cake left. We get the Life Grip, the 10-yard Life Grip on the Rogue. I intervene to absorb some of the auto attacks coming from the lackeys and the Strong Arm, which was, I think that's like probably the best intervene play I've ever had. Because in my head, that's what I was thinking. I was like, oh, Strong Arm is on top of him. He's going to get autoed to death. Let me intervene to absorb the next couple of blows. But that's why I don't like Reprisal, right? Because Reprisal kind of teaches you to use it kind of maybe on CD or more often than you probably should. So Intervene has like a very high skill ceiling, I feel like, which I definitely don't utilize. I'm not a good player when it comes to like using Intervene in toolkits and stuff like that, but so I noticed these lucky spawns, so I decided to just run them all up to the door. We know the password is now Ruby Gem, is what it says in chat. And I'm still kind of scared of the bug. There used to be a bug where if you ran in with trash, or like at least the minigame trash, it would like bug out the instruments. So we run in here, and there's a dealer guy right here that I didn't even notice this. So we run past, and I think someone tags him. Oh, the Bone Spike came up and tagged him. And I didn't even notice. I was just like running, and I was like, oh wait, there's an Infiltrator here. So I got a taunt. But I think the lock ended up seeding. Yeah, he's seated down there, so it's weird. Like, again, before this run, I haven't run a single streets this season, so I had no clue where any of these Infiltrators were, and I really didn't know where to use cooldowns. So this was really weird to have to do it. It's kind of nice, but at the same time, it's a little bit more difficult when you have this Infiltrator up because of these sleeping pools. Like right there, the lock just got put to sleep. We get a quick dispel, but then I got put to sleep because I wasn't paying attention. And because the dispel just went out on the lock, he didn't have a dispel for me, so it was a little bit hard to get trash up here. I don't think I commit the challenging shout, though. And then the Infiltrator went down just in time. We just need to be careful of these pools that are still remaining. We're saving our... Oh, we used Shockwave on the Patron's teleport, and then we're just staying here and making sure we're not getting hit by poop on the ground. I really need to pay better attention to Spell Reflect. It's like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning now. This pattern is always consistent, by the way. If you pick up the horn in the front of the room, it's always going to be here, 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 and then here. It makes like a U shape. So I go for the Thunderclap on the left. I taunt the Oasis security, then I kick the Patron to get them in. We stack them up. I'm going to commit Banner here. Teleport's going out. We get the Shockwave. Shield Slam. The Hyperlight Bolt's going on the Priest. So realistically, we would make sure that we're kicking these bolts. I definitely could kick a little bit more here. And then another teleport, so we're going to get the Fear plus Gouge. Rogue did a really good job there of making sure he was in front and on top of CC, but we also overlapped it with the Fear, which is totally fine. Especially when it's the last thing. Intimidating Shout is really good. I back up just a little bit to make sure. So again, like, goes, you know, left, left, right, right. I don't know how to explain it. Okay, the last one. And then Zogron comes out. And I was strafing left and right here, and he, like, wasn't coming up onto the stage, so I just stopped moving. I could have gotten a charge here. Oh, I did. Okay, cool. Security Slam, we want to make sure that we have at least shield block up for that. And then this is a weird fight on Quaking Week, because the suck-in happened right as the overlap happened. So we're going to stay in the center, and then right when our notes spawn, we're going to use our weapon to refresh our stacks. So we have the haste and the damage buff here. This boss is crazy easy, but at the same time, you can make it crazy hard by not resetting your stacks. And I think we have to do it one more time, but I don't think it overlaps with Quaking. Maybe it does. Are there any tips for this fight for Warrior? Like any cool things you can spell reflect? I'm not really sure. I know that when I have banner active, I should be using probably Last Stand like as an offensive for rage generation. We're waiting for the last second, we're using our weapon, we're avoiding the damage, and we're getting our stack rebuffs right back up to that 40 seconds. Make sure you're resetting this. So everyone in our group reset except the Hunter, who got 3, so he hit one of his notes, but not all of them. And then we're spreading. Now the lock gate placement was perfect, because the lock gate, what he did right here, he put his gate at the top down to the stairs. Sometimes the gate snaps down, but it's still going to pull you to the top. So you're going to see this execution in a second. Everyone takes the gate, they get sucked back up. This saves you 4 seconds, 5 seconds, but sometimes those 5 seconds are actually the difference between failing a key and timing a key. I mean, we're going up 100% trash. 4 out of 5 bosses did it with 10 minutes left, pretty much. 9 minutes and 47 seconds on the timer. We have 9-stack bounty. The Rogue's going to get another sap here, so we can head up. And the Hunter ran into the barbed wire there, which is fucking amazing. And then this fight was just really clean. So I'm going to spread out a little bit for Quaking. Now, the only problem with this strat, or this route, is just the RP. This is a very pug-friendly route, because you just... most of your pulls are just a handful of targets at a time. Lust timings typically line up pretty good. You use it on first boss, third boss, fifth boss. So I don't have Last Stand available, but I do have Avatar, Banner, plus Demo Shout. So you can actually see me spamming Taunt and Charge at the same time. And then I'm going to pull him a little bit off center just because of divides. I just don't like keeping him in the very center. Ravager goes down, Resonating Arrow goes down. We see the Coordinated Assault come out. Infernal is active. We have everything rolling. The Adrenaline Rush from the Rogue. We're doing big damage here. The portals shift, and we are trying to assess which one is going to be best. It was kind of a weird pattern, so we decided to commit to the circle, which was a pretty far move, but I think we were all fine. The lock places down a portal here, so we can get across the divide pretty easily. We see that triangle is nice and close. We come out, we make sure that the Rogue gets the kick. Now, we're going to hold our kick. Again, we aren't in Discord. We don't know what's going on. I was going to hold kick for about a second left, but the lock actually beat me to it around the 2.5 second mark, which is totally fine. If you want to milk out the extra global, you can. I realized that I threw down a Ravager, and I'm shifting over to this section because I know that he is going to shift these portals, and more than likely, wherever there's one portal, there will then be 2. It's something that I've noticed that might not be actually true, but like whenever I'm taking this key, I find that whenever there's one portal, there will be 2 near it when they shift like this. So you can kind of see that here. We're seeing that triangle is the move point, so we're going to move through triangle when it's safe. The lock decides to port instead to minimize his movement, which I thought was a weird flex, but I'm not going to judge. And then we're just making sure that we're generally keeping up our shield block uptime. This boss is pretty easy when it comes to tank damage. I think most of the other bosses actually hit a lot harder. This guy is more just annoying than anything. And then the next Shuri is going to be the weird one, because you're going to see like how a decision should be made. And oftentimes in pugs, I see people kind of try to like jump through 3 portals when they only have to jump through 1. But you need to be patient. Like you have to, like, that's why I have my camera positioned like it is now, is so I can see the whole room. So I see Shuri is spawning over at circle. Now a lot of people would try to like bum rush from square to triangle to circle, but just stay at the square here and then step through and it's safe. Now, there are very rare occasions where like you might actually need to do that, but it's very, very rare. So same thing here. I see there is a triangle spawn, so we're going to move through circle to put us further away, and then we're going to move back through circle when we get the chance, and most of our group knows that right now. So we're all going to shift through now. We're going to port over, and then this is where we can go for a tunnel for the most part, unless there's some weird thing where he ports away and starts trying to do double technique. And so Asmi goes down with 6.5 minutes left. I actually finally got my Keystone Hero for this dungeon. I know I didn't play perfectly. Like, even close. There was a lot of things. I didn't optimize Spell Reflect. I didn't optimize my defensive cooldowns at all. I didn't Fleshcraft, like, ever. And I feel like my Shield Block uptime or Reprisal usage was pretty lackluster. There's a lot of things I did wrong. But I do think I was aggressive with my CDs, which is always good. So yeah, this is when they're asking for a workshop. I was pretty good, I feel like, about my, like, scale usage. And, like, making sure that I'm always kind of rolling Demo Shout into Ravager into Last Stand to maximize my generation to have really good banner uptime. But again, I'm not great at Warrior. This is me critiquing myself. These dudes in this key played almost, not perfectly, but like they played very, very well. They all knew the key. They knew the instances. Most of these guys were way higher than I was last season. That was like a flash grenade there. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. At the time of completing this, small flex, but this key was US rank 11. Now, of course, US NA is the only region that currently has these dungeons available with this new affix, but not a lot of groups were running 20s yet. I'm not sure if that's because of raid nights or because of just like people getting comfortable or maybe trying to push like 15s up or gearing out or whatever it might be, but this key, I was 275. I had no new items equipped. This is maybe my third key in this season on the Warrior so far, so not too shabby. Again, if you guys have any critiques, please let me know. I'm just trying to get better. I hope you also maybe learned something from this key, maybe about route, maybe about boss, maybe about some kind of strategy. Warrior, the Warrior Hopium. I get asked a lot about this a lot, and I know there's a ton of clips on YouTube. Like right before I started recording this, I saw a bunch of clips from like Now and like Dr. J and like a lot of these other top Mythic Plus players talking about how crazy Warrior's looking for this season. And I do agree with them, but I do still think there's other strong tank candidates. I think most tanks are going to be good except Guardian Druid. So if you're looking to play prop Warrior, I think this is the season. If you were an old prop Warrior main and you swapped off of it because you just thought it wasn't that great, or it just was like really clunky back in season 1 or season 2, this is the time. This is the time of the Warrior. Whether it's meta or not, this is the best feeling Warrior has been since BFA. And if you guys saw the Dragonflight talents, it's looking even better. So hope you guys enjoyed. Don't bully me too much in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.